In the United States, this will be released under the name OnePlus Open 2. The variant with the artificial leather back is currently exclusively launched in purple in China. Greetings everyone, Error here. The entire world is buzzing about the launch of the slimmest foldable smartphone ever. It's from a Chinese company called Oppo, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. I used to hear a lot about issues with Huawei's foldable smartphones, especially the ones that fold in 3 parts. Huawei has always had a lot of quality control issues, but Oppo has been selling very well and is known for its reliability. Now they've released what they claim is the world's thinnest smartphone. The photo you're looking at was provided by Oppo. What does the right side look like to you? Do you see how the gold one looks much bulkier compared to this ultra-thin smartphone? The golden one represents the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You can observe that it's incredibly thin, almost half the thickness. Although the iPhone 16 Pro Max isn't designed to be a thin phone, comparing it to that model might seem a bit excessive. However, given its widespread use, it's notable that this Oppo phone is even slimmer. Oppo officially announced its global release in Singapore on February 20th. Chinese smartphones aren't very popular here, so even if a new one is announced, it doesn't get much market share or attention. However, apart from Apple, the rise of Chinese foldable smartphones in the Android market, especially from brands other than Samsung, is quite significant. In our country, Samsung is the only smartphone manufacturer, but in China, there are numerous companies competing fiercely with each other. This intense rivalry has led to a significant race to create the thinnest devices. You can easily notice the substantial difference in thickness from the side. It's incredibly slim. Buzz also quickly shared their first impressions. The thickness is divided like this, one here and one here. When you hold it in your hand, it feels incredibly thin, and even when you look at the bottom, the USB port appears precariously positioned. It's crafted to be so thin that it aligns almost perfectly with this thickness. Of course, the camera bump is quite noticeable in Chinese smartphones, making it a signature design. But this part is handled separately. Apple and Samsung also do something similar. Oh, but this thickness, isn't it just unbelievable? This makes me wonder if they might remove the USB-C port entirely to make it even thinner. I also have doubts about whether they can include a sufficient battery capacity. They have managed to create such an incredibly thin frame, but we will have to see how durable it remains over time. Additionally, it is worth noting that the USB-C port is said to be at least 2.6mm thick, so we will need to observe how this thickness actually holds up in real-world usage. In fact, just half a year ago, the buzz was all about the Mate XT, a 3-fold smartphone that became famous for being extremely thin. They chose an ultra-thin design. It was notable for being thin even when folded. When we refer to it being thinner, we're talking about its thickness when it's fully opened up, like a book, rather than when it's folded. This model is planned to be released in the US under the name OnePlus Open 2. The black and white designs are sleek and stylish, don't you think? Previously, it was introduced with a leather cover, making it look like it already had a leather case on. The version with synthetic leather on the back is currently available only in China, and it's released in purple. The design, as seen in the pictures, is quite remarkable. However, the camera bump might be divisive because of its prominent size. Here, we're comparing it to the Galaxy Z Fold 6. This one is the Z Fold. As you can see here, if we set aside the camera bumps, it's clear that there's a noticeable difference in thickness. I also did a few other comparisons. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 6, the thickest model. Next is the very thin Honor Magic Fi 3. Next up, we have Oppo's previous version, and the latest model they just released is this one. Given that Honor has already brought out a very slim version, it's likely to be comparable. For the Honor Magic, which is a Huawei product, it appears thinner because of its curvature, but in reality, this one is actually slimmer. It seems it will be available on February 20th. Additionally, the crease has been significantly improved. In the photos, you can still see the crease, and it's not very uniform. This is a bit disappointing. However, when foreign media handled the device, they found it almost unnoticeable. They barely felt it. And that pattern only appears when light is shown at a specific angle, making it almost invisible in practice. Of course, we still need to see how durable it is. However, Oppo has been recognized for its quality, especially in comparison to Huawei, so there's reason to be optimistic. In terms of the crease, it's receiving much higher praise compared to foldable phones from Samsung, Honor, and Vivo. So how about the performance? It features the best processor, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite. This is the same one in the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which I also bought. I plan to review it, but haven't made the video yet. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is in this Galaxy S25 Ultra I purchased. However, there's a slight difference. It was originally an 8-core processor. It includes an Orion CPU, hexacore, and NPO. But instead of having 8 cores, it has 7 cores. This is the first foldable smartphone to reduce the number of cores, likely to better manage power consumption and other factors. This optimization aims to extend battery life. Furthermore, in terms of durability, it also addresses water and dust resistance. As for dust resistance, it still hasn't received a separate IPX rating. However, this OPPO series is known for its rigorous testing, and this time it has achieved not only an IP6 rating, but also IPX8 and IPX9 ratings. It's rare to get an IPX9 rating. An IPX8 rating tests if a device can withstand long periods underwater. The IPX9 rating tests if it can handle high temperature, high pressure water jets. It undergoes a high-temperature, high-pressure water jet test. Hot water at 80 degrees Celsius is sprayed with high pressure. This certification means it passed the test. Some might think an IPX9 rating includes an IPX8 rating, but that's not true. These tests are separate. One involves submerging the device in water and waiting. The other deals with high pressure. The scope of testing for heat resistance varies slightly. Nevertheless, they assert that both standards are met. In simple terms, an IPX8 rating is used in diving gear or smartwatches. An IPX9 rating is more like a high-pressure washer. This testing is also done on dishwashers, industrial electronics, and car parts. And that's what the new Oppo M5 foldable phone has achieved. In our country, we don't often use Chinese smartphones, leading us to generalize their technologies. However, within China, there's intense competition, and companies are fiercely battling. They're in a race to create the thinnest devices, and to accomplish this, they're making significant advancements in battery technology. In the case of the Animagic V3 from Huawei's subsidiary, they utilized a cutting-edge material that incorporates up to 10% silicon in the anode, rather than relying on traditional lithium-ion batteries. The Animagic Phi 3 has already reduced these issues to about half when compared to the Galaxy Fold series. Of course, with Huawei's Animagic, these issues kept arising, causing quite a stir in the market. Nevertheless, they continue to make these bold claims directly targeting Samsung by placing their phones side by side and saying, maybe one day you will be here, but we are already here. They claim to have made it thinner. With Huawei's Honor leading the way, Oppo, another Chinese brand, isn't staying idle. They are making it even thinner. So, if you check out the Animes V3 website, you'll notice they mention incorporating up to 10% silicon into the anode material. In brief, as I have previously explained, the graphite anode structure stores lithium ions by allowing them to move in and out. Introducing silicon into this setup significantly enhances the efficiency of lithium-ion movement. Increasing the percentage allows for significantly greater capacity. Previously, graphite structures had limited capacity, but with silicon, the structure can hold more. As a result, companies here usually test with about 4 to 5%, while in China, they are pushing it up to 10%. Of course, some experts point out that increasing the battery capacity by 10% could introduce stability risks. Nevertheless, these smartphones are rapidly adopting this technology and seem to be serving as a testing platform for its future commercial use. While there's talk of stagnation in the foldable phone market, Chinese companies are actively competing and developing new models. We need to wait a bit longer for exact specifications. In the AI era, we see continuous innovation in the foldable form factor. So, we should not just focus on Apple and Samsung, but also look at these advancements from China.